Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us here on the Service Without Excuses podcast. We're glad to be with you. Brand new episode here on a Friday morning, fall morning here in New Jersey. I hope everything's going well where you're at. We also want to mention our sponsors, Sotellus.com / Rob Lyon, ROBLYON. They are the Cadillac review management software. They are the high end, the top, the elite. We use them in our business. I've recommended to a number of people. In fact, at this point, I know there's at least 100 people that have transferred over to that system. Some have used other programs and have went, wow, this thing is really a step ahead of everything else. Sure, it costs just a couple dollars more, but what's your time worth? And that's really what it comes down to. So Sotellus.com / Rob Lyon, ROBLYON. We also want to mention our new sponsor, NewJersey'sBest.com, NewJersey'sBest.com. You can go there and get great information about different companies and companies that can help you with your the growth of your own business. And you find really a great list of vendors and people that really are the best of service providers. So NewJersey'sBest.com, proud sponsor here. And we're glad to be with you. One of the things I am big on, if you've ever listened to me in my previous podcasts and different things, is that I am a systems guy. I love systems of operation. It goes back to the military term of SOPs, Standard Operating Procedures, and it goes way back to before Christ. It goes way back. That's what procedures were in war, and from a military standpoint, of course, they work very, very well in everything, including businesses. And having a system in place to make sure that everything's being done. Now, most people think standard operating procedures, operations procedures, that's, what we do during the day, any given day. Well, operating procedures, and I have a guest coming up here, I believe next week or the week after, Al Levy from the 7 Power Contractor, and he really dives into this, implemented his own business in Long Island. When I used to live in Long Island, we had a business not far actually away from where they're based out of. And he ran this large operation until he sold his interest into it a number of years ago and then moved to Scottsdale, Arizona to start the 7 Power Contractor system, wrote the book, and of course has become a superstar in the service business industry. One of the things he talks about in his book is making sure that these operating procedures are in place. Operating procedures are everything from administrative to having your company, flow currently, marketing, operations, like we said, logistical operations, sales procedures. It's everything, all in a nutshell. And I know we've had Howard Stern on here before, and Howard is a great friend and a good guy, a great guy that's actually built a business from nothing to, I think he's around $3 million a year. He might even be a little bit above that in Houston, Texas now. And he has, of course, his own thing going with howardpartridge.com, howardpartridge.com. I would definitely look up some resources there as well. Big thing about operations is it's wound within your business. It's sort of like a rope that goes between it. It's sort of like, I like in the United States, we have the Mississippi River, and the river kind of curls around when you get down south, different areas, and kind of curls around different towns and different sections. And there's cities off of it that just kind of curl around this little, it looks like a lasso rope, like an S-bend rope. And I think to myself, that's how an operating procedure goes. The water flows differently, obviously, on the Mississippi River than it does in a lot of other places in the world. However, it flows between these areas, and it flows between most major cities in the world. There's usually a lot of rivers that go between cities. London's one of the big one with the Tyne and so forth. In Memphis, you have, obviously the Mississippi, but Mississippi goes through several, and its path of water goes through these different channels, these different cities, these different curves and bends, and the entire journey it takes has to go through these areas in order to get to its ultimate destination of water, just open water. Think about your business. Is your business taking that journey properly through those cities? Is it going through those channels? Is it going the right course it's supposed to go? And again, I'm not just talking about your operations, getting the guys out first thing in the morning, which we've already done, and now the last of the trucks will be going out here shortly. Think about the business as far as, is it going out with a sales system in place? Is it going out with a marketing system in place? Is there a way that you're promoting, people see your trucks, they're driving high traffic routes? Is there a way that they are promoting and being out there in the field and doing things that are helping grow your business and promote your name, your brand, and your position in your marketplace. Think about what's being done as far as that goes. So, everything when it comes to operations in your business, everything that happens day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year is part of that entire operations system in your business. Each part is unique to its own. It has its own variable, its own texture to it, it's its own animal. No other way to describe it. Think about what you can do on a daily basis that can be tweaked. Now, just because you think something should be tweaked, you should test. I'm a big believer in testing. I've talked about it hundreds of times during episodes of our podcast that I believe you should test everything. One of the things that I did with our business is, I don't do it as much anymore, but I would do our daily posts. Now our posts are a couple times a week. We don't really daily do them anymore. We haven't had to, although they're important, and I suggest to have a system in place, just like we discussed, to make sure you post content and information out there. But what I would do is see how people responded to the post. And if I got a good response, I got 2 or 3 people that seemed to be engaging in the post, then I would test the post. I'd test it on Facebook. I'd test it on Instagram. I'd test it wherever I felt like it was the best venue for doing a quick, short, low cost to moderate cost ad. And if it worked even more, then I would, of course, boost it a little bit until I kind of soaked all the juices out of it and saw how far this was going to go. And then I put them in their own file and said, this particular post worked well as an ad. This particular post worked. And then you start seeing correlations between what's working, what's not, what people are not interested in, what people are interested in. Certainly when we write the post, we try to make them as consumer friendly as possible. Yes, they're informative. Yes, they have some technical aspects to them. But one of the big things that we try to push, we try to promote is making sure that it's easy and friendly for our customers or potential customers and clients to actually read and engage with. Nobody wants to hear that the solution you're using has a neutral pH. It doesn't have too much alkalinity or acidity to it. We may need to know that because we're professionals. You may need to know what PEX is if you're a plumber and the benefits to how PEX works versus traditional copper or PVC. Those are things you want to be able to know. However, your customer just cares it's going to work, it's going to hold up, and it's going to last, and it's going to be safe. And that's their interpretation of what these things are is completely different for the most part, unless you get somebody that's really technical minded. They're completely separate. There's nothing that's in correlation with one another. So think about when you're putting posts out and content and testing your content that you're making it as user friendly as possible. And that's a side note altogether. I would like to talk about in a different podcast. Your information, your content out there is a whole separate different issue. But the big focus I wanted on this podcast today, again, was systems. Do you have a systems driven business? Is there things and are there things in place that are making your business run operationally with or without you day after day consistently? Do you have a system for collecting reviews? Do you have this? One of the big things that I like about Sotellus, and I've tried to talk even colleagues and friends into this, that sit there and still give handwritten postcards to people to fill out and write their information down and then have them post this information, making it way too cumbersome, way too complex. I don't think it's a good idea. I think you have to make it as simple and easy as possible. So when our techs are out in the field, I'm just going to try to pull up my phone here for 1 second, and it may beep because when I put it back on this, it's typically on almost a sleep mode, but give me 1 second here. So if you can see, and I'll put up in the camera, there's different versions of this in Sotellus. So basically we get done with a job and they have an option to do a review and stuff right there with technicians. We're not that intrusive. We don't ask our customers to necessarily do it right in front of us, put them on the spot. We don't. So send invite is a big thing, and then we'll put their information in. Once they get this, they have the option to then go back to doing a video review, audio review, messaging review, whatever they choose to do. But this puts the ball in their court, not in yours. So when people are doing reviews and things are going out, now what I really like about Sotellus is it goes so much further this and delivers content to the right places to make sure we get maximum return on our investment. Our second biggest stream of income coming in from our business is people seeing our reviews and promoting that people see our reviews. So that's the second biggest way we do business next to SEO and content-driven marketing, is that they see our reviews and they book us. So it's very, very important that our customers, and every tech has different access levels to this, they can put this in and goes out. If for any reason now what we've been doing and implementing is the technicians aren't even necessarily doing this. They're calling into our office is sending these out typically at the end of the day. One of the things you do have to watch about this, unless it's one of your senior guys and you really have somebody that's on charge, is if they didn't have a great experience from the customer, they're probably not going to hit click. There's two ways you can handle that. Number one, they have to send it. So you know that it's been sent to every single person. Certainly I could track this very easily, that it's been sent. So if it's easier to have your technicians do it, you're going to know that it's been sent because you can track it. And they can't hide from it and say, well, I'm not going to send Mrs. Smith because I thought Mrs. Smith was a nasty, nasty human being and she was not nice. Listen, you're going to get it. And sometimes you're not going to get the greatest reviews in the world, but we still have to go out because you have to be balanced and uniform. Unrelated to this, on another subject, I'm listening to Joe Rogan, the podcast with Joe Rogan, where he had Dr. Sanjay Gupta on there. And one of the things he accused CNN about, and he was 100% right, is they knowingly gave false information, knowingly lied, is the best way to say it, about a particular drug that he was taking to fight off COVID, to help him with COVID. And that lacks credibility and trust. And when that bond's been broken, that's an issue. Well, Joe brought that right out as far as, outline and called CNN out. And anybody knows me, I try to be balanced, but it's balanced information. And if you're not delivering balanced and fair information, no matter who you are and what side of the aisle you're on, you have no credibility. Well, this is the same way. We need to make sure that our credibility is right on the money. So, having a system in place, not a card that the guys, technicians use on their company phones, not their personal phones, company phones, that lets them send the information out right then and there at the end of a job. They can't even leave the job necessarily without that. But we are trying the other way around to do the end of the day. I've had a great response with doing it piece by piece, every job. And one of the reasons is I found that customers are very happy and kind of hot to buy and have a great sense of accomplishment and confidence in our company when the guys just get done. We found that is truly beneficial, that the guys are right there and we get a much better response than, say, we've tried it a week out, we've tried it a few days out, we've tried it at the end of the day. The best response has been after the job up to this point, but we are testing it to see if it's better to come at the end of the day all at once. Right now, the figures are out. We just know to this day, at the end of the job, if it's sent upon completion of the job, as they close out the job and they're sitting in the driveway in the truck and ready to go to the next job and closing out all their numbers on the job, calling it into the office, whatever it is, that's going out immediately. We've tried to put it in the hands of the technicians because we want them to be responsible enough to do it, but also that it's getting done. And that also keeps up the interaction with the customers, even if they have, an old battle axe that's just driving them around the house. A very difficult customer. Again, they're there. We have them pretty much on a weekly, if not sometimes daily basis, where somebody's a little bit rough around the edges to our guys, but it raises our level of customer service as well. That's a system. That's a system to make sure things are being done, things are being captured, that the information is there, that everybody's held to an accountability, that the technicians are held to an accountability. Again, we don't expect we expect our company is going to give them the top level 5-star type service. We expect that we're going to give that service without excuses, delivery on every single job. We can't control what the other customer is going to think about it. Sometimes 4-star people are 4-star people. Sometimes they're 3-star people. And even if it's 5-star service, they're just 3-star kind of people. And that's all they're ever going to put in. Does that shrink our rating? Yes, it does. And is it a pain? Yes. Should you hide from it? No. All part of a system, guys. All part of a system. So think about your business, and do you have systems in place? And again, Al Levy's coming up on a new episode, not too far down the road, and I have the date. I'll be talking about a little bit further as it gets closer to it. But he has really become the foremost expert when it comes to these 7 different systems of operation, 7 powers, as he calls it, of things in the system. So I'm really delighted to have him. I actually may have my friend Ryan from My Guy Plumbing in here. Love to have him in the podcast studio, so I'm hoping that he can make it that day. We're still working on details if he can make it logistically, but he runs a very fast-growing company here in New Jersey, and he's a great guy. And I love having him in the studio, and he's got a nice, calm, even demeanor, and I think he would add a lot to the podcast if we both be in the studio while we're interviewing, or where we're talking and recording a podcast with Al. So we'll see how things go. We don't know. All right, guys, enjoy your day. Have an awesome day. Kick off your weekend well. If you're going to work over the weekend, God bless. Please be safe out there. And we appreciate it. Also, you can go and subscribe to us on just about any podcast channel, the Service Without Excuses podcast. You can literally Google just the name Service Without Excuses podcast, and you can go down, whether you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, whether it's Spotify, whatever it happens to be, whatever medium you happen to listen to it on. I know people listen to it on Audible because they have an Audible subscription and they're getting the podcast on there. However you do it, great. You can also go to our YouTube channel, look up Rob M. Lyon, ROBMLYON, or also go to robmlyon.com and you can subscribe to our email list. We have a bunch of goodies we send to people once they sign up, and then, of course, they get some regular content information. One of the things we pride ourselves in here at Rob M. Lyon is we do not spam you. We do not push a bunch of stuff down your throat. You will not get a daily email from me. It's just it's not going to happen. If I do 2 days in a row, be shocked. It's a lot of information because you're busy, and we know you're busy, and we do not want you to feel overwhelmed with daily emails. It's nothing wrong. I have nothing against people doing daily emails. I just personally don't get a chance, and most people I know that run successful companies, far beyond me, don't have time to go through a daily email unless that's their thing, but it's rare. So we try not to put that on you. Again, that's a system, even our own business in the Rob M. Lyon world. So thank you again, and I look forward to talking to you on the next podcast. Have a good day. Thanks, guys.